Hello. Welcome to Rays of Sports. Today we will be sharing with you the top 10 most expensive transfer flops in football history. Watch through to find out players holding the record of the most expensive transfer flops in football history. As a result of Atletico Madrid allowing record-breaking signing Joao Felix to join Chelsea on loan, we have chosen the most expensive transfer errors in football history. The football world runs on money, but lavish spending is not always a recipe for success. As we have highlighted in this video, many of the biggest transfers in history have turned out to be extremely costly errors. Number 10. Alvaro Morata. From Real Madrid to Chelsea in 2017. Many experts believe that Alvaro Morata's agent is the best in the industry. What other explanation is there for a striker who has consistently had trouble finding the back of the net earning lucrative transfers to Europe's top clubs? Morata did score 15 goals in the Primera Division in 2016-17, which persuaded Chelsea to pay £60 million to acquire him from Real Madrid, but it still stands as his highest in the top flight. The Spain international's miserable 18-month stay at Stamford Bridge was cut short in January 2019 when he was allowed to join Atletico Madrid on loan with an eye toward a permanent transfer. In fact, he scored just 16 Premier League goals during that time. It's difficult to view Morata's goal return as anything other than a disappointment given the size of the outlay, despite the fact that he felt the press was too quick to criticize him during his time in England. Number 9. Nicolas Pepe. From Lille to Arsenal in 2019. During a brief period at the end of the 2020-21 season, Nicolas Pepe appeared to be regaining his form for Arsenal. He resembled the player who had dominated League One with Lille. However, the Ivorian only managed one Premier League goal in his final campaign at the Emirates, and his departure in the summer of 2022 was inevitable because younger, better players had long since displaced him in the starting lineup. With Pepe's contract set to expire in 2023, Arsenal allowed him to join Nice on loan, and it now seems unlikely that they will ever recover the staggering £79 million they spent on him in 2019. Number 8. Harry Maguire. From Leicester to Manchester United in 2019. An effective Premier League defender is Harry Maguire. He demonstrated this in Leicester. Keep in mind that Pep Guardiola wanted to hire him in 2019. Maguire asserts that he went with United instead, but Manchester City balked at the cost. Simply put, they didn't think Maguire was worth a defender's world record transfer fee, and they were right. The abuse that Manchester United supporters have directed at Maguire over the past 3 years has occasionally crossed the line, as the centre-back put it. There is no denying, however, that his trophyless tenure at Old Trafford has been a bitter letdown, and the choice to name him the club captain has long since come off as completely absurd. As if you need reminding, United spent £80 million on Maguire. The price would be less than half today. The England international may not be as terrible as Rafael van der Vaar famously claimed, but he is unquestionably a huge financial waste. Number 7. Romelu Lukaku. From Inter to Chelsea in 2021. Given that he had only managed to score once during his prior stay at Stamford Bridge, Lukaku claimed that his decision to return to Chelsea was motivated by unfinished business. Although the striker ended the 2021-22 season as the club's top scorer, his second stint was significantly worse than his first. In fact, given the club record investment of £97.5 million in his services, 15 goals from 44 appearances was a pitiful return. Sport Italia, in which he professed his undying love for his old team Inter and, even more incredible, criticized Thomas Tuchel's tactics. This was his own fault alone. He never fully recovered from betraying his manager and the team's fans, which made his loan return to San Siro inevitable. Number 6. Eden Hazard. From Chelsea to Real Madrid in 2019. Eden Hazard's transfer to Real Madrid, which had been in the works for 10 years, looked doomed the moment the winger showed up overweight for pre-season practice. To be fair to Hazard, he was incredibly unlucky with injuries given that he was virtually injury-free throughout his time at Chelsea. But even when he's been able to string together a few matches in Spain, he's come off as a very shoddy imitation of the player who's shown in the Premier League for 7 years. Although Hazard has won numerous prestigious awards, including the Champions League, he contributed about as little to Real Madrid's 2021-22 victory as Gareth Bale, and it wasn't for lack of effort on the part of the Belgian, which probably makes the whole thing even more heartbreaking. Number 5. Paul Pogba. From Juventus to Manchester United 2016. Paul Pogba was a pointless departure for Manchester United in 2012. 10 years later, it occurred once more. Without a doubt, the majority of fans were happy to see a player go because they had given up on him consistently displaying his undeniable world-class talent. In fact, some incensed fans on the Stretford end yelled, "Get off, Pogba!" In addition to booing the France midfielder during the Premier League match against Norwich in April 2022. Still, it was painful to lose such a valuable asset for nothing. After all, in 2016, United re-signed Pogba from Juventus for a record-breaking £89.5 million. Pogba eventually made his way back from where he came after 6 seasons, 1 Europa League victory, 1 Carabao Cup victory, a string of appalling performances, and shameful come-and-get-me appeals to rival clubs. Again, much to the relief of most fans. Number 4. Ousmane Dembele. From Dortmund to Barcelona in 2017. Barcelona was in a bind after Neymar's shocking transfer to Paris Saint-Germain in the summer of 2017. Even though they paid a record-breaking sum for the Brazilian, every club in the world was aware of their financial bonanza and their desperate need for a replacement. In fact, Dortmund made the ultimate panic buy by handing over an initial €105 million for a player with just 1 successful Bundesliga season under his belt. Dortmund saw Barca coming from a mile and cracked. The talent of the France international is undeniable. He's actually having a decent run of form right now. However, let's face it, Dembele has utterly failed to live up to his price tag, spending the majority of his time at Camp Nou sidelined by injury, inconsistent play, and lack of discipline. Number 3. Joao Felix. From Benfica to Atletico Madrid in 2019. Joao Felix thought he had many offers during the summer of 2019, but he thought a move to Atletico Madrid would be best for his career. He couldn't have been more mistaken, as the forward utterly failed to earn back his €126 million transfer fee. Felix claimed to only want to enjoy football at the time, so it's still unclear why he chose to play for Diego Simeone, who makes his attackers work just as hard as his midfielders and defenders. This deal didn't seem to fit from the beginning, and it turned out to be the case when Atletico agreed to let Felix join Chelsea on loan for the rest of the 2022-23 campaign, despite the player having scored just 25 goals in 96 Liga appearances. In the process, he did extend his contract with the Rojiblancos, but it's clear that this was only to try and recoup some of the money they spent on their record signing after what they hope will be a fruitful tenure at Stamford Bridge. Number 2. Antoine Griezmann. From Atletico Madrid to Barcelona in 2019. By openly discussing a €100 million transfer to Camp Nou by Blaugrana defender Gerard Piqué, Antoine Griezmann humiliated Barcelona in 2018. The fans were indignant. They had no further interest in working with the Atletico Madrid star. However, Bartomeu €20 million buyout clause in the Frenchman's contract, as if trying to make a point. The versatile attacker had his moments at Camp Nou, but they weren't frequent, and in 2021 he crawled back to Madrid, rejoining Atletico on loan before making a permanent move back to the city. Number 1. Philippe Coutinho. From Liverpool to Barcelona in 2018. The worst transfer in Barcelona's history, but one of the most significant in Liverpool's. The Blaugrana agreed to pay €120 million for a player that they merely didn't need, plus €40 million in potential bonuses. Was he an offensive or defensive midfielder, or was he both? Despite the fact that Josep Maria Bartomeu was oblivious, he made a special effort to sign the Brazilian. His 2 goals against the Catalans in 2020 while on loan to Bayern Munich was his most notably. Tried to restore some financial order at Camp Nou after very nearly going bankrupt under Bartomeu, letting Coutinho join Aston Villa for just €20 million in 2022 after attempting to sell him for years. Please share your thoughts on the list. Please like and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching.